I love you.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Mike Hughes, and you are listening to The Shy Kid and Everything Chicago Sports-Related Podcast, a.k.a. the original Mike on the mic. Sitting here with Inside the Hoosier Mind, and we're going to be picking his brain a lot today, talking Chicago Bears football and NFL draft. Tony Hollinsworth. Tony, how we feeling, baby?
Hey, I'm feeling great. I got my new Bears hat that I'm rocking. This kind of old school. Looks like it's pulled straight out of the 1990s. Ooh, look at that.
Oh, I got this one. Yeah.
Look at that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still partial to your fuck Green Bay hat though.
That hat is elite. That hat only comes out on special occasions when I feel like we truly get to use it. Let me fix the mic really quick. Bar.
Oh, I see what you did that.
Yeah. No, we got a weird situation going on really quick on the TikTok side of things. But I think we're gonna be okay. Just have to make sure we get all the technicalities right. There we go. How you doing? We're back.
How you doing?
No, man, but we got a lot of topics to talk about tonight. We got a lot of things that are going to be breaking down everything Chicago Bears. So let's get into it, man. First of all, we saw today that ESPN graded the Justin Fields trade an A for the Pittsburgh Steelers and a D+ for the Chicago Bears. Now, obviously, what goes into this conversation a little bit more is the Bears had 4 other teams that were interested in Justin Fields. That's what Ian Rappaport reported. And apparently the compensation that the Bears would have acquired from either of those teams was 10 times better than what they got from the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was a 2025 6th-round pick, which if Fields plays 50% of the snaps in 2024, could turn into a 2025 4th-round pick, which a 5th-round pick in 22 or a 4th-round pick in 2024, I don't mind at all. But Tony, with that, we're going to talk about Ryan Poles morally, and then we're going to talk about Ryan Poles, the GM. So right now on both fronts, where would you grade this trade for one of Ohio State's greatest quarterbacks of all time?
If I had to grade it, I'd give it about a D. And I give it mainly a D for trying to think of how I want to word it. I get why they gave Pittsburgh the A, mainly because they now have a young quarterback that isn't under contract. They don't have to pay him anything.
Right.
You already have Russ, who you're only having to pay him $1 million because Denver is upfronting his entire salary. So if it works out for Russ, cool. If not, you haven't lost anything. You haven't given up anything to get him. Same with Justin. If he works out, cool. You only got him for a 6th-round pick. If not, is what it is. You just missed out on a 6th-round pick. For the Bears, I would give it about a C to a D. I would probably give it more honestly a D, because looking at it from a business perspective, while you definitely want to take into account, Justin, where he wants to go. Because, I mean, you think about it. He did give Chicago everything. And if I'm Ryan Poles, if I'm looking at how they are, that does come a point where it's like, man, okay, yeah, he did everything. We didn't really set him up for the best success. Like, we need to try to do right by him for sure. But at the end of the day, it is a business. This is your future that you have to deal with. If you're Ryan Poles, this is Justin's future. So if you can kind of come to a compromise on it, like, look, I know this is where you want to go, but this is what they're only offering. If another team is offering something different, like, hey, we're going to trade you there, and you can either ask them to be traded or wait it out for a year, they cut you, and then you can go wherever you want to go from that point. So that's how I would kind of look at it. And, it's one of those, I feel like it's really kind of a lose-lose for both sides, because for Justin, I feel like if this was 2014 Russ, once he'd been in the league a couple years.
Oh
He's
yeah,
still
I don't
mobile,
think
he
he
can
want to
learn.
go there.
I don't think he'd want to go there, but even if he did, I think that would be the best opportunity for him to learn behind somebody whose skill sets are so similar. Because Russ has, he used to be a pocket passer, or he could be mobile like Justin has been. He could get the first down with his legs. He could be elusive.
Right.
Now it's, Justin's going there as Russ is past his prime. And honestly, as crazy as this is going to sound, I know a lot of people probably argue it. And statistically, he had a better season last year. Russ is washed. Like, Russ is not the same Russ that we've seen ever. Like, he got hurt his last year in Seattle, like the finger thing. He tried to come back, and I'm like, okay, I scratched that out because I'm like, yeah,
Right.
you were just trying to force something to happen. You didn't really need to. You go to Denver, you're with Nathaniel Hackett. You had Jerry Jeudy, you had Cortland Sutton, you had a pretty good offensive line, you had a really good defense, but you had Nathaniel Hackett as your head coach, and you couldn't put your own ego aside enough to make it work. Like, you made it work just fine with Pete Carroll when you were basically running the offense, but now
Right.
you can't do it. And now you move on to Sean Payton. Sean Payton statistically gets you back to being a pretty decent quarterback. Now you go to Pittsburgh, you're the starter. There's a lot of question marks I got for Russ, and unfortunately for Justin. Is he going to pick up on any of that toxicity? Like
Right.
that's my other worry
I
for
think
Justin.
that's the furthest thing that'll happen with Justin, in my opinion. Justin's Justin. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think you and I have seen Justin be this veteran mentality, this leadership mentality since he was in Ohio State or Georgia, or even before that when he was on QB1 Beyond the Lights on Netflix. Like, the kid even talked about how his dad made him shave his head because his grades weren't good enough. Like, this kid understands what it takes. So I don't think the toxic traits he'll pick up. I think a toxic situation is definitely there though. From what it seems, Russ has fully supported Justin Fields coming into the building. He made an Instagram tweet about it. Didn't see him make that post about Kenny Pickett. So I think there's definitely volumes to it. This is a team that they faced each other last year, and Russ obviously got the win out of it, but Justin definitely played better. 26-8 was the touchdown interception ratio of Russell Wilson of this past season. And, as a lot of people say, he took a step back. He had a better season than Justin Fields, and I understand Luke Betsy's a part of that, but, Jerry Jeudy, if we're going to be completely honest, at least in his Broncos career, hasn't shown me anything. It hasn't shown me a damn thing. Sutton and Patrick's been hurt. Sutton, when Sutton's the number one, it's hard to really evaluate that. But, I think you make great points. For myself, for the trade as a whole, I think I would morally, for Ryan Poles, the man, I think you give him an A+. Four teams gave you better options, and you went with the one guy that Justin Fields wanted to go to, which was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin's representatives, according to Ian Rappaport, said he only wanted to be a Steeler at this point in time, and you made it happen. You said you were going to do right by him, and you did. Morally, that's awesome. But as a general manager, it's like, listen, I hear what you're saying. I understand ESPN gave it a D+. I'm going to say the grade to me was a C-. And why I think it's a C- is because I would have loved it for it to be a 2024 pick. I think that's where a lot of us were. I think the Eagles were likely the team that wanted Justin Fields, which, as crazy as you and I even said, no way, when that rumor came out 2 weeks ago, then you see them give up a 6th-round pick in 2024 for Kenny Pickett. Okay, that was probably supposed to be for Justin Fields, but Fields didn't want to go play behind Jalen, which makes sense. He didn't want to be all up in that ass doing tush pushes all day. But
That's what Saquon's for.
Oh man, I would hope so. Who's gonna get hurt first? But I think at the end of the day, for me, why I give it a C- is because it's important when you're a general manager. People don't realize this. I understand, you want to get your bang for your buck. This is a guy you took 11th overall in 2021. This is a guy who broke Michael Vick's single game NFL records. This is a guy who rushes over 1,000 yards a year and won the hearts of the city for the most part, of the city. And you want to get good compensation in return for that. But one, you're understanding the whole principle of, we just got to get him out the building so we can get Caleb Williams in here and he understands it's his team. And two, doing right by your players is one of the most untalked about things in the NFL, whether they are on your roster or not. Sending Robert Quinn to the Eagles was a success. Sending Roquan Smith to the Ravens was a success. Then you see, obviously, there's guys like Chase Claypool. Yeah, we don't care where you go because you don't care about us. We don't care about you. But Justin Fields, if you do wrong by him, and obviously he's talking to other people. He's talking to DJ. He's talking to Jalen. He's talking to the guys on his team. If they ask him, hey, how do you feel about going to Philly? And he says, I told Ryan I didn't want to go there, and he sent me there anyway. That makes guys like DJ Moore, who are going to be free agents after the 2025 season, question, are they going to take care of me? That makes a Keenan Allen question. Are they going to take care of me? It's important for how teams look at you and say, is this an organization that I would move my family to? Is this a place that I would want to be for the foreseeable future and risk everything in my career for? So I think I give it a C- because you look at it for what it is and understand that he's showing that free agents should want to come here, that we take care of our own. And I understand it's not the pick that we wanted, but it's just the market that it is. I understand Sam Howell gets a 3rd-round pick, but they also gave up draft capital and Sam Howell to get that 3rd-round pick. And we didn't have the capital to be able to be in that kind of position. But I like it, Tone. I don't think it's D+ worthy, but I definitely wouldn't say, you're the smartest tool in the shed, sharpest tool in the shed. Neither am I.
Well, and I would also argue too, we'll probably be able to give a better evaluation of it when 2025 comes around as far as what they do with that pick. And I say that because you look at, and I know everybody tries to use Tom Brady. I feel like Tom Brady, while yes, he was drafted in the 6th round, that's a bit of a reach. I'm thinking more of, you look at George Kittle and the fact that he was drafted in the 5th round. You could look at, Dak was drafted in the 4th round. You can get quality starter, good players in later rounds. And I know Pride is just ecstatic right now.
Hey, Tone.
What's up?
What did Mac Jones get traded for?
Oh, a 6th-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So I don't know why Pride's laughing like shit's funny. At least Justin did something. Broke some NFL records. But your boy got his job taken by Bailey. What is his name?
Bailey Zappi out of Western Kentucky.
Yeah, shout out Caleb Williams. At least we have a generational talent coming in the room. You got Bailey Zappi. Crazy. Couldn't be me.
No, right. But no, I don't think it looks bad initially just because of what it is for face value. But yeah, if we look at this in a year or so, and you look at who they potentially draft, how that player potentially does for the Bears, I think we'll be saying a lot differently. Because at the end of the day, a pick is a pick, and like Coach used to always say to you and I when we used to talk about trading all these picks. Because you look at the Rams haven't had a 1st-round pick for like a decade, damn near.
Man.
Still don't. Yeah, still don't. Like, the picks really don't matter unless the players that you pick actually work out. Look at the Raiders drafts for like 90% of the time the last few years. Their 1st-round drafts are crap, but their later round drafts end up being pretty good. Same with the Steelers and whatnot. They usually end up drafting overall pretty well. But yeah, right now it's not that big a deal. And I do like Ryan Poles taking care of his guys, because like you said, Chicago is always a big market. They don't ever have to worry about people not being able to make money when they come to Chicago. But there's a lot of outside to it. You got to play outside in the cold. You got to play against Green Bay. You got to play against Minnesota and Detroit. And you're playing in the NFC as a whole. And historically, the Bears, they don't really do offense a whole lot. It's very rare. Like, once every few years, they're like, yeah, let's invest a little in the offense.
Right.
We'll see what we're doing. But I think it's a good move for Poles to say, hey, we didn't do right by this guy, and we need to do right by this guy now. If you come here in Chicago, you feel we don't do right for you, we will try to get you to where you want to go.
No, for sure. And I think one of the main things for me that, we break down and we talk about all the time is like, who is Justin Fields? And I think, we have to really evaluate, who he's going to become and the way he's going to go about it. I think at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, we have to talk about one thing first and foremost. You talked about it, you mentioned it, you kind of brought it to attention. The Bears haven't addressed the offense. In one move, in one swoop of the night, here's what the Chicago Bears got in return, thanks to Lovie Smith and the Houston Texans in 2023 for the #1 overall pick, which became Bryce Young. The Bears ended up getting 2 wide receiver ones. They got DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers, and they just traded the 4th-round pick that they traded back twice for in the 2023 1st round to get Keenan Allen. If you remember, the Bears traded #1 for, I think it was 8 or 9, something like that, or 10. I forget what it was. And they traded back to not take Jalen Carter, which they got in return was the number 10 or 11 pick, whatever it was. They took Darnell Wright, and then obviously a 4th-rounder, which they traded for Keenan Allen. So you got Darnell Wright, who's your new franchise tackle, looked great.
Yep.
GBO, go Big Orange. Two number one wide receivers in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Tyreek Stevenson, who is one of the better defensive rookie corners in the entire league, had a defensive rookie of the year candidate type season. And then obviously Caleb Williams with the number one overall pick this year, and I believe a 2025 second round pick as well. So, you look at that and you go, okay, well, every single pick we just talked about outside of Tyreek Stevenson is likely going to be offensive minded. 2025 second round pick, who knows? But, I definitely think the Bears have really gone about it the right way. I think they're in a position right now to where the monsters of the Midway for the first time in what feels like forever are offensive minded. Obviously, the defense is still great. You know what I mean? The defense is top 5. They're probably going to add somebody like a Dallas Turner or a Jared Verse or somebody along those lines if a wide receiver isn't available. But it's going to be interesting to see how, just like we talked about in the early 2010s, Tone, Jay Cutler, not you and I talked about, but Bears fans.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte, Martellus Bennett, Devin Hester, all these guys. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, you're looking at them and you're like, the offense is better than the defense for the first time in how long? So I'm curious to see, how quickly this offense catches up with this defense that's already been solidified. I think if you really look at it, Caleb Williams, if he is who he's supposed to be and thought out to be a generational type talent, I'm not going to say Patrick Mahomes-esque because I know that pisses a lot of people off, but a generational type talent. The sidearm throws, what he can do with his legs, the way he can read the field, and his arm ability is second to none in the Pac-12. And that's not saying much about the Pac-12, but it's definitely a case to be made that he is going to come in here right away and have success. So especially in this situation, I saw today on Twitter they were saying this is the greatest situation any number one overall pick has ever been in. But to solidify that argument, I want to go into the next topic, because this one is a more interesting one to me. Caleb Williams comes to Chicago. What is the level of anticipation to you for what he can potentially do for the Chicago Bears organization? We've seen the Gale Sayers, we've seen the Walter Paytons, the Matt Fortes, the Jordan Howards. I'll throw them in there. Fuck it. We've seen the monsters of the Midway, the Mike Singletaries, the Doug Planks, the Doug Atkins, the Brian Urlachers, the Khalil Macks, the list goes on. We've seen the defense and the run game. We've never seen what a franchise quarterback legitimately can do for the city of Chicago and how he can potentially put us on his back and take us to the next era of Chicago Bears football. So what are your realistic expectations for Caleb Williams right now as it pertains to stepping into the organization to immediately take charge?
Yeah, I do want to real quick before I dive into that. Shout out to Lovie Smith. Even though he's gone from the Bears, he's been gone for the Bears for a while. He's still taking care of Chicago Bear fans and
give him
Chicago
a statue.
Bears.
Give him a statue.
He needs one, man. I love Lovie Smith. I miss Lovie Smith being the head coach. 1,000% honest with you. But no, as far as the expectations, I do expect Caleb to have a come to earth season. And I say that because you look at the year that he won the Heisman, he absolutely balled out. The only losses he ever had was against Utah and Cam Rising, which Utah has quietly always been a really good team in the Pac-12 for the last few years since they've joined. So that's really not Caleb's fault. Last year, it was more of he kind of started to come down to earth because of the frequent losses. He didn't really bounce back from Notre Dame, didn't really bounce back out of 5 of the 6 of his last games that he had there at USC in the Pac-12. This year, coming into Chicago, you're going to have a new system. You're not going to have Lincoln there to help you. You're going to have a lot of growth. You're going to have to learn. And much like you brought up, this is going to be one of the first times that the Bears have really invested into the offense. The defense is going to be able to help you, which you haven't had your entire collegiate career between Oklahoma and USC, both with Alex Grinch. You have a legitimate defense that is going to be able to support you, and you have an offense that should be able to support you as well. So I think there's going to be a little bit of expectations that to me should be kind of brought down a little bit. He is a rookie. He's going to have to learn. He's going to have to build a chemistry with Keenan Allen. He's going to have to do that with DJ Moore and whatnot. The sky is the limit as far as potential. I think, all honesty, like I said, if he wins 8 or 9 games, or if the Bears as a whole are able to win 8 or 9 games with him at the helm, that's a absolute success first year for him being in the NFL. But I do wonder what he looks like not having basically the only guy that he's ever heard call plays for him at a collegiate level not whispering in his ear. Now, maybe that changes if, the Bears start out bad, they fire Matt Eberflus, and they begin the vicious cycle all over again of, fire a head coach that drafts the guy of the future. New head coach comes in. Yeah, this isn't my guy.
John
But if
Fox, Mitch Trubisky, Matt Nagy, Justin
Nagy
Fields.
Fields,
Caleb
exactly.
Williams, Matt Eberflus.
So if they were able to get a Lincoln Riley, if he's potentially available next year, because a lot of this will also depend too on how badly USC gets their ass kicked in the Big Ten now that they don't have a generational talent in Caleb Williams.
I think it's going to be very bad.
Exactly. It will be interesting to see if Lincoln Riley doesn't try to jump ship to the NFL, and maybe he tries to join Chicago with his former quarterback. Who knows?
I could definitely see that. I definitely think that's in the realm of possibility. But the only problem with that is if they have success and Lincoln Riley is available, do you move on from Matt Eberflus just to get Lincoln Riley? Like, let's say for sake of argument, the Bears defense is top 5 and the Bears win 10 games, they make the playoffs, but Lincoln Riley is available and Caleb Williams looks like the next generational talent. Would you cater to Caleb Williams and what he wants going into his second season and fire Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron to bring in Lincoln Riley and his own staff? Or would you continue to trust that process knowing, listen, we can't let this kid think that he's running the entire team right away? Because to your point, I will say this, I'm not there with it. And this is a prove it year, or not a prove it year. This is a come to earth season. Like, I've seen guys come in here and have success. I saw Tommy DeVito come in out of nowhere and just start lighting it up in his rookie season. But for real comparisons, you're looking at CJ Stroud, you're looking at Anthony Richardson, you're looking at Bryce Young, who Bryce didn't look great, but he was put to the test and they made no excuses for him. And, shout out Luke Combs and the Carolina Panther fans everywhere who are holding guys accountable for that, because that's why you get Deontay Johnson for a 7th round pick. They're doing their job. But, I think when you see Richardson and CJ and all these different young guys, even Patrick Mahomes in year 2, Lamar in year 2, that was their true rookie season. You're really starting to sit down and wonder, man, do we have to wait? The era of the 1985, hey, man, you're sitting for a couple years in front of this Joe Schmo and you're going to learn and hold a clipboard. That shit's over with, bro. If you're taking number 1 overall and you're saying you're the next Patrick Mahomes, you better act like it, especially when you're coming into a situation not like Bryce Young, where I couldn't name 2 wide receivers from the Carolina Panthers last year. You're coming into an amazing situation, a top 5 defense, a set culture from Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, who has been an offensive coordinator for Tom Brady, Jared Goff, Geno Smith and Russell Wilson and whoever the fuck he was coaching in Washington. But, one of these days I'm going to figure that out. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, man, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Caleb. I give him no second to catch his breath. No, you're a dog. Come in here because we're ready for you. And I think all Bears fans are expecting that. And I think the biggest question to me is what's up RG3's ass today? Did you see that post today?
Yes, I did.
So for people just tuning in, Robert Griffin III, who obviously had a phenomenal career, bum in the NFL. No, I'm just playing. But let's be real, man. RG3 says that Caleb Williams should give the Chicago Bears the Eli Manning treatment. We got Rob Scott joining.
Ooh, Rob Scott
in the flesh. Look at his teeth. Smiling back at me. Love it.
What's going on, brethren?
Man, we were about to break it down, Rob. I'm happy you're here. You heard RG3's comments today?
They're talking about it as far as Caleb should
pull
turn down the Bears. Yeah.
Where are you at as it pertains to the hate in Robert III's heart? Right now, for me, mine really quick. Hey, man, listen, I get it. Your NFL career didn't work out. You're just like us. You're content creators now. So you want to get those clicks. You want to get those views. But leave my team the fuck out of it. That's where I'm at. Like, you already heard Caleb Williams say it would be, and this ain't paraphrasing. This is a quote, a direct quote. Caleb Williams at the combine said it would be an honor to be a Chicago Bear. And he talked about a great situation that any quarterback they take is going to be in. Obviously, it's very cold outside right now, and that's why you see smoke coming out of Rob Scott's mouth. 100%. It's freezing out. Say burr for me, Rob.
Hey, you see me with my hood on, right?
Yeah. It's cold outside, yo.
I'm outside. No, it's just a cigarette, child. It's okay.
I'm playing. Okay. But Rob, really quick, man, I want to get your thoughts and then Tony's. Robert Griffin III says Caleb should give that Eli Manning treatment, but Caleb has said nothing negative about the Bears thus far. He has his pro day at Hallis Hall this week. Are you excited to hear Caleb Williams continue to express his love for potentially being a Chicago Bear? And where do you put that in RG3's perspective?
All right, so this is what I've been saying because I haven't had a chance to really let my feelings out about how I feel about the Justin Fields trade.
Okay.
Not now that I've had a chance to sleep on it, it sucks still because I had so much faith in that kid. But unfortunately, the reality is if Caleb Williams comes in and he does a great job and we're at least in playoff contention, unfortunately, Justin Fields become a distant memory. And we're gonna go and we're gonna say, all right, we're riding with Caleb. It's the Bears thing to do.
Right.
So we're really just looking for wins. But as far as what RG3 says, it's like, dude, Mike, I second your opinion. Stay out of our business. Like, worry about what's going on over there. Like, at the end of the day, regardless of what you think you may have heard or what you think you're hearing from Caleb Williams, he understands that right now the Bears are looking at you.
Right.
And he also understands that he's coming in a great position right now. Like, they have set the table. They've done something for you that they haven't done for Justin Fields in the last 3 years.
And really quick, Rob, I want to point something out that's even crazier. Caleb Williams at the combine said that any quarterback going into the Bears right now is a great situation. That was before they brought in Kevin Byard, DeAndre Swift, and Keenan Allen. So he already thought that it was a great situation. What do you think he fucking thinks now, Tony? This is an even more bigger situation to come into. You have 2 number 1 wide receivers, a better backfield, a more efficient backfield in the red zone when you take into consideration a guy like DeAndre Swift. Is this even more of a situation that Caleb Williams would be pleased to go to before he even said that at the combine?
Oh, I think so. And here's the other thing that not only Caleb has to realize, but RG3 needs to realize. If Caleb does try to pull the Eli Manning thing of, oh, I don't want to go to Chicago,
too bad.
Where else are you going to go that is QB needy that you think is going to be some great situation?
Right.
Washington, the only person you have to throw to right now is Terry McLaurin. That's
Shout out
it.
Scary Terry, though.
Love Scary Terry. Underrated wide receiver. Top 10 almost every year. You know who Terry reminds me of? He reminds me of another DeAndre Hopkins. He gets over 1,000 yards with rotating QB carousel back there and puts up stats constantly.
Yep.
Free my man Scary Terry. But nonetheless,
facts.
Where are you going to go? Washington, that's a crap show.
New
Not
England.
Going to go there. You don't want to go there. New England, even worse crap show. They have the absolute worst wide receiver room in the NFL as it sits right now. And you can look at, and we could sit here and we could break down the rest of the draft board as far as who else needs a quarterback after that.
Right.
You're not going to a better spot than that as far as teams that have weapons. Now, Dustin kind of brought it up. Minnesota is really the only, other QB needy team, but he's not going to reach down that far. And I don't see Minnesota giving up that much to potentially go get him.
To your point, here's the thing. Even if Ryan Poles, and I want everybody, we have over 60 people in here right now. I want it known. Everybody on this panel believes the Chicago Bears are drafting Caleb Williams number 1 overall, but our guy Dustin proposed that potentially Minnesota would be interested in trading up for him. And this Dustin doesn't probably believe that either. I wouldn't say. I would just say we're making an argument here. Right. If you're Ryan Poles and there is a slim chance that you think that this guy could become the next Patrick Mahomes, you're not trading him to the Minnesota Vikings, who have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson, along with Aaron Jones and Kevin O'Connell, who's an amazing head coach. So you're never trading them to a division rival. It's basically like you understand that you have the potential of having a Patrick Mahomes level player before you even start, and you're going to just hand them to the Green Bay Packers and leave them in Lombardi just gift wrapped. So I don't see that happening whatsoever. But I want to go back to what Rob said, because what Rob said to me is something that nobody's talking about. Here's the facts, and straight facts, no printer. We're going to break it down right now. Justin Fields in 3 seasons never beat the Green Bay Packers. A lot of people right now are upset that Justin Fields is gone and that they're moving on from him. But I'll tell you what, if in the first meeting of the Green Bay Packers in 2024, Caleb Williams beats Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers, people are going to forget about Justin Fields. That's just what it is. And there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. We haven't beat them since 2018. That's a fact.
Man, I just graduated high school and now I have a full-blown beard and my niece is 4. What are we doing? Like, there was a global pandemic before the last time we beat the Green Bay fucking Packers. If Caleb Williams walks into Lombardi or Soldier Field, I don't know when they play or where they're going to play, whether that's week 1 or whatever. If they walk in there and we get that dub, Justin Fields becomes a distant memory. Does anybody here disagree with that?
No, I'll go out and buy a Caleb Williams jersey if he beats the Packers in his very first meeting. Because
On God.
God, you know how nice it would feel to say, man, as much crap as I give Caleb Williams and as much slander as I've given this man, for him to beat the biggest bum that I can't stand at quarterback ever for Green Bay, be so nice.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
say
even know what I would do.
If I can start wearing this hat again proudly, I'm cool. I'm cool. If I can start wearing my Green Bay Sucks hat, I'm rocking. I've been wearing this inside the house for the last 3-4 years because if I walk outside, I get clowned. There goes that Windy City again, man. That's crazy. But nah, man, I'm curious to see what happens. And there's a lot of different ways this can go. One of our other topics we have for the night is the number 9 overall pick today.
Hold on. You also forgot to mention.
What happened?
I just want to say this. I think we were blinded about our want for Fields, that we forgot that Ryan Poles realistically built the Kansas City Chiefs before he left. So in his opinion, it's like, and I know you're gonna say yes or no, but Mahomes was his guy.
Sure.
Mahomes was his guy, and at the end of the day, for him to go to another team and to get the number 1 draft pick and see another guy who, in my personal opinion, I think a lot of people have been jumping the gun and saying Caleb Williams is the next Mahomes. But if you look at the highlight tape, he did a lot of Mahomes-like things. So in Ryan Poles' vision, he's like, hold on, you telling me I go to another team, get the number 1 draft pick, and I get another guy like my guy, and I can build this franchise? You want to talk about a hell of a resume? You want to talk about, Hall of Fame credentials as a general manager? What happens, best case scenario, if Caleb Williams comes in and he's able to, give us a new edition of the '85 Bears? Not to say that the defense is going to be the same or whatever.
I would say even better because in this age, it's offensive minded. But Rob, do you know the reason why Patrick Mahomes is a Kansas City Chief right now? Do you know the real reason?
Yeah, talk your shit.
It's not Ryan Poles. It's not Andy Reid. It's not the ownership. I actually heard it's not even my shit to talk. I heard Patrick Mahomes say this himself. Matt Nagy was so big on Patrick Mahomes that he actually gave him the plays that they were going to talk to him about the night before at his workout with the Kansas City Chiefs. He said, this is what they're going to talk to you about. I want you to have success. Here's what it is. And I guess the Chiefs were wowed by his knowledge. It's crazy when you have the answers to the test, you're wowed by knowledge. So Matt Nagy actually put the Kansas City Chiefs in position to really look at him as a viable option. And of course, the Chicago Bears are also a big factor to that because for whatever reason, you said Mitchell Trubisky was the number 2 overall pick over Deshaun. But whatever.
I was gonna say that's great until he drafted Trubisky, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It is wild to me when you talk about that, and you're like, damn, Matt is Matt. At the end of the day, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of former Bears, who I won't name drop, but that just said he's all about him. But that night, that day, Matt Nagy was about business, and I think that's kind of cool to me.
But hey,
go ahead, Tony.
Every squirrel gets a nut eventually. Every squirrel gets at least one nut eventually. And Matt Nagy got his nut.
Sure. 100%.
Hey, like my boy used to say, the sun got to shine on the dog ass every once in a while. Eventually it hits there. Hey, but also too, the only thing I'm worried about with Caleb Williams, right, is that curse of that number 1 pick. Because, when we look at football, when we look at the NFL, right, the guys that you think are supposed to come in the league and be dominant and kill, from a quarterback standpoint, is always those guys that you never saw coming. Pause. You know what I'm saying? It's those guys that you never saw. Like look at Tom Brady. Look at Brock Purdy. Look at a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. It's like these were guys that were picked later in the draft or were not your number one,
So,
number two, number three pick. And these guys go
right.
ahead and go crazy.
So I wanna drop something though because I
Yeah.
think it's
Drop
important.
your knowledge.
You look at let's talk about Patrick Mahomes, why he had success. You come in with Andy Reid, Alex Smith mentoring you. You have Tyreek Hill,
Facts.
Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, a great solid defense at that time. Not as great as it is now. I will say that it's gotten better, but it was a solid defense. You look at Brock Purdy. He comes into a situation with Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel and Kyle
Then
Shanahan.
Garoppolo. I think
All
Garoppolo was there too. Right?
Garoppolo was there
Yeah.
mentoring. They
Right.
were all there. So, and then Tom Brady comes into a situation to where that team was Super Bowl built. Now, and that's a
And
fact
Drew
because
Bledsoe was there.
exactly. So you look at that and you go, okay, look, all of these later round picks are going to better teams. The reason why the number one overall pick never has success is because they're going to trash teams. The Bears are in a situation to where they already have a top 5 defense. You led the league in interceptions, top 2 run stopping defense. You got better in the pass rush game after bringing in Montez Sweat. You still have the number 9 overall pick. You still bring in guys like Jalen Johnson, extend Montez. You bring in Keenan, DJ, Swift, all these different guys in the offense. You know, Tony mentioned it, saying that this was potentially one of the greatest situations any number 1 overall pick has come into, and he hasn't been the only one who said that. I've seen that in a lot
I
of different
agree.
places. I would agree as well. You know, if you look at, I would have to look at the numbers and the rankings, but somebody posted out earlier today of all of the perfect situations. I definitely think Caleb Williams is coming into one of the best situations, especially when you bring into the fact Luke Getsy is gone, Shane Waldron is here. So yeah, Brock Purdy had success, but he also had one of the most dynamic offenses and offensive minds in the game. Patrick Mahomes had success, cool, but he had Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill. All of
Then
that's
Alex
great.
Smith.
Fuck
Yeah.
Alex Smith, Rob. Stop
Well,
saying
you can't really say that because
what he teach
Alex,
him.
but Alex Smith had this team as a perennial
Let me tell you
playoff
something,
team.
Rob Scott. Let me tell
I'm
you
just
something.
being real.
I'm about
Hey,
to be real.
Alex
I'm about to
Smith
be real on
to
you.
Gonzalez to TG, that was a
Nah.
real combination.
You want to see the real combination of how many times his foot went counterclockwise that season? He ain't teach him nothing. That man's foot was in the back of his head.
But you got to
That
talk about knowledge that you got. Like
Sure.
even like look at somebody like Aaron Rodgers, right? You look at somebody who's arrogant, who's he's not trying to train the guy that's coming next to him. But the fact that Jordan Love, and I know Tony gonna hate this because he hates Jordan Love, but the fact that
passion.
the fact that Jordan Love was there and able to learn that knowledge and to just see it up close and personal. That's the reason, and this is a whole nother topic for a different day. That's the reason I don't feel like a guy that's injured in his rookie season in the NBA should still win Rookie of the Year. You got to see veterans up close and personal. You got to see things behind the scenes that people don't see. Preparation, the way they watch film, the way they cater to the media, the way that they do things. You got to see this up close and personal, things that people don't get to see. So why should you win Rookie of the Year? Well, technically you're not a rookie. Same thing with Pat Mahomes. Regardless of how you feel about Alex Smith, Alex Smith was still a veteran in the NBA, I mean the NFL, who had a long career. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a guy that played 10, 11 years, man. He had a long career. You don't get to play 10, 11 years in the league like the NFL without being somewhat decent. You know what I'm saying? So you get to learn from that. You get to learn to be a professional. You get to learn how to navigate, you know what I'm saying, the do's and the don'ts of this league. That is a asset. That is something that is beautiful to your career that you got to learn from these situations. So,
I would agree.
unfortunately, Justin Fields didn't get that situation.
I was about to say I disagree with you. So you gave him Nick Foles, who's a Super Bowl MVP, who's been in the league for over 10 years. You give
Who
him
was also a backup, bro. Like I can give you an argument for it.
You gonna let me finish? You have Andy Dalton, who is a franchise quarterback for the Bengals for over 10 years. So that you get both of those minds in there, and then I see my man average 150 yards every single game. So I mean, that's for me.
Yeah, but I also seen my man's have an offensive line that said, "Hike, who wanted to hit him first?"
Yeah. I
And
was saying, Here's the other thing that you got to remember too, because Mike, you brought it up with a lot of the later round quarterbacks getting drafted, and I've said this time and time before, where you get drafted matters a lot. You know,
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes got drafted into the perfect situation. Here's the other thing too that again makes me cautious with Caleb, just because of what we've seen and what we've heard with college. There's only a small handful of guys that have even been the number one overall pick. There's even a smaller percentage of guys, especially now in the recent years, especially thanks to Cleveland, when you're that number one overall pick, you can truly carry a bad franchise to be great. You look at Peyton Manning did it. You look at Andrew Luck did it. Joe Burrow is probably the most recent. And, that's kind of a slight to Trevor Lawrence, even though, again, not exactly Trevor Lawrence's fault. But Jacksonville is another one of those situations where you are coming into a bad spot regardless. Cleveland is one of those bad spots. So for Caleb, you're coming into probably one of the best spots because, no, you don't have a good quarterback to learn from as far as a veteran. You have Tyler Badgett, who, yes, he has a year of experience under his belt. I don't really count that.
Hey, man.
I don't really count that for that man.
That's Badgett.
He has earned his last name.
And that's Badgett.
My bad. It's
That's Badgett.
Back in preseason, I didn't give a fuck, but that man got 2 wins. That man has earned his last name. Tony.
Hey, Mike, I'm with you. That is Badgett.
That is Agent Badgett, sir. You pronounced it right.
But nonetheless, though, he's coming into the best spot because not only do you have a young veteran wide receiver who's still young enough who can build a chemistry with you and help, kind of lead you and guide you. You have another very good wide receiver who's a veteran who was in the league for a long time with Phillip Rivers, also helped develop another great quarterback in Justin Herbert, as far as being able to work with him, giving him tips and tricks and whatnot. You have a good solid running back who's been around the league, been allowed a lot of great quarterbacks in Matt Stafford, Goff, and then Jalen Hurts. So he's got just about everything you could really want as far as best setup goes to be a potential success.
I would agree. And I think
you talking, Tony. You talking.
I would think the draft has a lot to do with that. And that's one of our last topics tonight, really breaking down what they're going to do with that number 9 overall pick. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go right now. I see a lot of people talking about the Bears are going to trade it for T. Higgins or something. They're not trading for T. Higgins. They have 2 number 1 wide receivers. DJ Moore is on his last year of his deal in 2025. Keenan Allen's on a 1 year right now. T. Higgins wants to be one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. So it's just too many mouths to feed. It's not happening. I think if anything right now for me, you don't trade down 9 anywhere. I think the best player available is exactly where you need to go, whether that's offensive line or it's in a situation right now to where you see maybe somehow, some way. I saw Pro Football Focus had their mock draft today after Justin Fields was traded. They have I believe it was the Las Vegas Raiders or the Minnesota Vikings trading up to number 4 with the Cardinals. And now a guy like Malik Neighbors falls to the Chicago Bears at number 9. If Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze are available, that's awesome. But if Jared Verse or Dallas Turner are available for the pass rush, I think that's the way you do it. But Tony, I know you were more prepared about it. I'll give Rob a minute to collect where he wants to go with it. Top 3 players that you would go with at number 9 right now if you're the Chicago Bears, say in whatever scenario you're given, they're available. As long as it's not Marvin Harrison Jr., I'll say it's a potential shot. But where are you at?
If it was me, I would still stick with offense. I would go Malik Neighbors at wide receiver for LSU. If he's available,
big if, I think.
Big if. Another big if the dude is available, I would go with Joe Alt, the tackle out of Notre Dame, who is solid. That would also continue to shore up your offensive line, give you a lot of help there and whatnot. If I had to pick a third, I would probably go defense and say Dallas Turner on the edge. Or if you wanted to kind of shore up the secondary a little bit more, you could also go and get Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Oh, and you wanted to know who Shane Waldron coached in when he was with Washington in 2016. It was Kirk Cousins. So he's had a plethora of pretty decent quarterbacks that he's worked with. Kirk probably being the quote unquote worst with having 1 win in 12 years, playoff win in 12 years.
Okay, wait, but would you say who's worse, Jared Goff, who he also coached in the Super Bowl of 2018, or would you say Kirk Cousins?
Oh, Kurt, because at least golf, like you saw it in the regular season. Like you remember that Chiefs versus Rams game?
I do.
That was a
game.
prime time game.
That
Like
was
that.
that was the game to start the season.
Like you couldn't get much better of a game. Like that was solid. I mean, they fumbled it, at the end of the year when it came to facing the Patriots with Bill Belichick and whatnot. That was a god awful Super Bowl. But hey, he's had pretty decent success. So again, just kind of reaffirming Caleb's coming in the best spot. Like you said, you still have the number 9 overall draft pick. You can do pretty much anything. And with the exception of doing a Bill Belichick and drafting a punter or a kicker, anything you add at this point is going to be an added boost to that offense or to that defense as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, mine is really quick, and then we'll get Rob's opinion on it. I think my top 3 guys, Tony kind of covered. I'm gonna do slashes next to mine because either one can be available. Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. If any of them are available, I take them first and foremost. I think that's where I'm at because for me, what it comes down to is, like I said, Keenan Allen's on a 1-year deal. He wants to get paid. He even vocally said, I didn't come here to take a pay cut. I didn't leave there so I can become the highest paid wide receiver, but I definitely want to be respected for what I've put in. DJ Moore, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the 2025 season. So this right here, getting a Rome Odunze or a Malik Neighbors solidifies someone who's going to run with Caleb Williams from start to finish in their Bears rookie contracts. These guys are going to develop together just like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. You could even argue T. Higgins because T. Higgins was relatively young when Joe Burrow came on the scene as well, and we've seen how that's worked out. I think those two building that camaraderie together while also either Malik or Rome just get to be themselves while 2 other number 1 wide receivers can help mentor them. You talked about Alex Smith earlier for Patrick Mahomes. What Keenan Allen and DJ Moore can help bring to one of those 2 young wide receivers, I think would be huge. Number 2, I'm going to go with either Dallas Turner or Jared Verse. Whichever pass rusher is available, I'm without a doubt taking them to complete the puzzle on defense. That's really one of the only needs. I'm big on Javon Dexter Sr. They obviously extended Andrew Billings, Montez Sweat. You got a lot of guys in those trenches, but DeMarcus Walker cannot be the guy who's paired up alongside Montez Sweat come opening night. So I think Jared or Dallas would definitely be the move. And my third one is Fashanu. I think Fashanu is one of the more interesting ones out of Penn State for me. I don't think Joe Alt is available. I think that's where Tennessee or Atlanta goes, especially after bringing in Ridley and Pollard. They unless they go Brock Bowers, cool. But I would definitely say Fashanu is one of those guys that I would take a look at. I know he's not. I know statistically Joe Alt and all of those guys are a little over him, but I think just like Darnell Wright, Ryan Poles understands you don't always have to go with the biggest name. You don't always have to get the biggest offensive lineman, the fastest, strongest guy. It's all about the discipline. It's all about who they're going to be able to be. That was a shitty Penn State team. And Fashanu was holding it down all year long for as long as he could. The man was a brick wall. So I would say one of those wide receivers, one of those pass rushers, or Fashanu clear cut would be my guy. I take it 9. Rob, number 9 overall pick. What would you rock out with?
Man, I gotta say, I agree with a lot of what you guys said, but there's one guy you guys didn't say. So, of course, Gunze from Washington. I would take him if Nate is not available, but I liked him. Like, besides Marvin Harrison Jr., I think he was the next best receiver in this draft.
Tony will heavily disagree as a LSU Tigers fan.
Hey, but I just have to say, and I think before we go on to my next 2, you say that though because a lot of people been sleep on Jay McDaniels, like McDaniel, like that kid is a stud. That
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. I said I keep putting the Mick on the beginning of his name, but Daniels. Yeah, let me get that right. I wanted to get his name right because he's also a guy that's earned his name as a quarterback. That kid is tough, man. Like
you would take him at 9.
St. Patty's Day is over. St. Patrick's Day was yesterday. Ain't no Mick in front of nobody no more. It's just Daniels.
Yeah. I gotta take that Mick out of his name. Hey, Tony, I appreciate you because he has definitely earned his name, man. Jaden Daniels, man, like that kid is tough, man. Like that dude is, as a quarterback, I like him, and I think he might actually be the sleeper in this draft as far as QBs go. But on to my other 2, I got a Gunze. Like I think you have to put in Dallas, like you said, that defensive end. Like I would like to see him on the other side of Montez Sweat because it's not looking like. And of course, I didn't think we would be able to get Chase Young. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna go on to another team. I just saw. I forgot what team he
The
was
Saints.
requesting to be with. Yeah, the Saints. Yeah, like and the
I believe he
Saints.
signed already. It's a 1 year, $13 million
Yeah, I
deal.
saw that in our chat, and I'm like, man, we're talking about a Saints team that's already been known for their tough defense, and now you bringing in this guy, like I feel sorry for the South and the NFC, and then also I think a guy a lot of people ain't been talking about, don't know his name, that tight end from Georgia, man, and I know we already have two tight ends, right? But man, I think this dude is gonna be on the Gronk level, on the Kelsey level. I think this kid is him. To me, like
Yeah.
I've seen what he's done with Georgia, man, and this kid got all the right stuff to be a tight end. I mean, he gonna get the job done on blocking, but when you put him in the open field, it's cracking for whoever.
Yeah.
It's cracking for whoever. You can put whoever out there. I'm gonna get mine, and I like what this kid have, man. He's been a staple in Georgia for a couple of years. Like this kid is him.
I
This
think I
kid is
think
him.
there's I think there's a reasonable conversation or world where you do have Brock Bowers on the Bears, and I think like especially when you do three tight end sets, I think you
Yeah,
have Gerald Everett really be that guy who's just blocking the entire time, and either DJ or Keenan would be the only wide receiver, and you can have Cole and Brock be your two end tight ends that are just going to go out there. If you ever played Madden before, you know I'm talking tight end attack. But I think that's really where you would go with that. But
but
I
I
still
think I think I think Cole is on heat now. Like how we talked about Justin Fields and everybody. Like now you're on the clock.
I don't
Like
think
show us what you can do.
I don't think so, especially just because they extended Cole Kmet for 3 seasons. I think he's in a great spot right now, and
Yeah,
tight ends
but
are hard
but
to come by. I
but
don't see it.
yeah, but now I get that, Mike. But now we're talking about teams that pay somebody on a dollar in the dream and then just be like it ain't working.
I, it's been working though for Cole Kmet. You know what? Like Cole
Not
Kmet,
for me, man. Like I think Cole Komet gotta stand. Like he's been getting better, right? And to me, if he would have been more of a threat, if he would have been more of a threat, I think you would have got less pressure on DJ Moore.
I don't
And I
think so.
think that's what teams were starting to look at. When we got DJ Moore, we were so excited, right?
Right.
And I'm just giving you my point of view from what I saw. We were so excited, and teams understood the threat that we were getting when we got DJ Moore. And then they started realizing, yeah, DJ Moore is the only one that's gonna stand up.
Right.
And they started triple teaming him, double teaming him, triple teaming him, and it was to the point it was like, who else is gonna beat us? And Cole Kmet get his touchdown in the first quarter, and get to swing the bat, hit the home run, do what he does when he celebrates. But at the end of the day, it's like, when are you going to show up? I don't even need you to score touchdowns. When are you going to start to make those key catches that we need to keep the drive going? Because at the end of the day, we lost a lot of leads in the third or fourth quarter because we could no longer keep the drive going. If we're not hitting you with the home run shot, we getting stopped. That's what
100%.
I'm telling you from my eyes. I was watching these. I was definitely watching Bears games because I was excited for what we could see, and that was the recipe for everything we saw. That's why we were the biggest team for fourth quarter like giving up the lead
Yeah.
because who are going to make those key catches when we need to get a first down, when
And
we
I'll
need to
tell you
make
this
things
though.
happen?
I'll tell you from firsthand experience watching a Cole Kmet be wide open going up the middle in an Arizona Cardinal game. We're all there on Christmas, and Justin Fields just doesn't see him. So there were plenty of times where Justin Fields just didn't make key plays. And I also think Luke Getsy was a shit OC. And like you said about that offensive line, how many times have I seen Cole Kmet after that first quarter have to go block because guys like Lucas Patrick or Cody Whitehair or Braxton Jones can't handle their responsibilities? So I think we haven't really seen a Cole Kmet in a position to where he's just an offensive threat. We've always seen him have to block. We've always seen him have to make up for this offensive line lacks. And I'm looking at him from 2020 to now. He's continuously got better every single year. 2020, he had 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sure, you're a rookie, whatever. 2021, immediately 612 yards. 2022, 544 with 7 touchdowns. This past season, a career high in 719 yards, 6 touchdowns. I think Cole has really come into himself, and I think that's why they've extended him. Especially Rob, when you look at like we brought up with Tony, really just talking about not to just play devil's advocate the whole time, but you understand Cole's locked up for 3 more seasons. Gerald Everett's going to be here for 2 more seasons. When you look at the wide receivers, these guys are gone after this year and next year. This year, 2024 and 2025, and DJ and Keenan. So I think your tight end spot's pretty locked up, unless you look at Robert Tonyan and you're like, just get the fuck out of here, which is perfectly fine. But it's like if it comes down to the number 9 pick, and you know that these 2 wide receivers who are number 1 options and really the only reason this offense is in a good position, if they're going to dip, you need to prepare for the future. And that's our final topic of the night. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. As it ranks today, they're in the NFL. We have to talk about everybody. We're not just talking about, the NFC North, because even in the NFC North, I think it's a tricky conversation if you name them number 1. Where do you rank the DJ Moore, Keenan Allen duo in the NFL today? Not in Bears history, not in the NFC North. Tony, I'm going to start with you. Where are you putting DJ and Allen?
Oof. So I'm gonna list off a few just so I can try to think of my list.
For sure. Take your time.
So you've got Tyreek and Jalen.
Sure.
Jalen Waddle. You've got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison.
USC.
Exactly, USC.
See Debo, Ayuk.
Yeah, Debo, Ayuk could probably be like
AJ,
in the 3
Devontae.
category. Yeah, that'd be 4. I'd probably put them at about 5 or 6, 5 or 6, top 10 duos. Only because all of those other combinations, with the exception of Tyreek, all those guys are pretty young. Keenan being 32, about to be 33. That hurts a little bit because you don't have the longevity with him as much. You're going to get a couple more years, but not as much as the other guys. But I would still put them up at 5 or 6 because again, Keenan is another one of those guys, much like Scary Terry, because his team may not necessarily be doing well, even though Keenan's had the advantage of he had Phillip Rivers and then he got Justin Herbert. So he's had solid quarterbacks back to back. Scary Terry out here trying to make things work with Fitzmagic for 10 seconds and that don't happen. But I would put them at about 5 or 6 probably in the NFL as a whole.
See, I put them actually at 8 to 10. I think that's
10.
8 to 10 is where I'd put them. I think there's a lot of guys that, we might just be skipping on off the dome right now that are going to be great. I think there's a lot of different conversations you can make about a Travis Kelce. Is he in that conversation? If we're looking it up for what it is right now, though, I think there's wide receiver duos that people just don't talk about. You know what I mean? Like there's guys who maybe they're not going to win a Super Bowl, but definitely solid tandems. And I'm looking it up right now. You still have to put in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think you definitely have to put them in there. I think they make that list. The Dallas Cowboys, obviously with CD Lamb and Brandon Cooks, you have to have that conversation. The Tampa Bay
Mike
Bucks.
Evans, Chris Godwin.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Bucks are another one. I'm looking at the list as it was ranked off CBS right now. The 49ers, the Vikings, we already mentioned. We're going to keep looking at this list as it goes on. I think they're anywhere from 8 to 10. I think that's a safe spot. Even DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Even if you don't want to count Lockett, cool. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. Like there's a lot of teams out there that I would look at and say, listen, these guys might be the guys. Now, there are teams that I will say like 2 teams that are in the top 10 right now, the Buffalo Bills, because of Gabe Davis. He's gone. So now it's just Stephon Diggs. And then obviously a team that you look at like who was the other team I was looking at? Oh, the Chargers. Keenan Allen's a Bear now. Mike Williams is gone.
Williams,
Right. So, okay, maybe the Bears to me are in that 8 to 10 window. I don't think they immediately scream to me with a rookie quarterback that they are a top 5 duo. I think if Caleb Williams, to Rob Scott's point, if Caleb Williams is that guy, then they can immediately be a top 5 duo. You know what I mean? If he's the next Patrick Mahomes or he's the next greatest prospect and he pans out in his rookie year like CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson, then yeah, for sure, they're a top 5 duo. But as of right now, with the rookie quarterback expectations, new offensive play caller, I would go into that and I would say anywhere from 8 to 10. Rob, where would you rank them?
Man, that's tough, bro. 'Cause
And also, wait, really quick. Welcome home, Rob.
Nah, I'm out and about, hotel room
Oh, okay.
downtown.
Not home, not home.
Not home, not home. I'm
I
out
thought
here
we just got
working.
a tour from Rob Scott's crib.
Nah, you know, no. We out here working, man. You know what I do, man. I'm operations, so I'm out here at all the trade shows. Hey, shout out to us. Shout out to Show Strategy. I can say this out loud now because we've been doing some good things, but we got the DNC. So we're building a Democratic National Convention in July and August. That's going to be here in Chicago. So shout out to us, first black owned company that got the DNC contract, man. So shout out to Show Strategy. Shout out to my boss, Glenn Charles, man. You know, we doing some big things. But
Oh yeah.
back to what we were talking about. I think I would have to agree with Tony. Like maybe top 6 to top 10, and I can't name all of the receiving cores offhand,
Right.
but I
It's a long
think
list.
that
I ain't
I
blame you.
think I think that Kelsey and Rice, and even though Kelsey is a tight end, you can count him as a receiver. I think
Sure.
Kelsey and Rice, they're gonna be a top receiving core. Of course, you got Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I think now that you might possibly have a full year with Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers, like they might be a top receiving core. Especially now that they got Derrick Henry over there, he's gonna open up so many things for that receiving core. Pause. Now that he's over there and going to be able to open a lot of things up for the Baltimore Ravens because now we're talking about Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry that can run, option read offenses. It's gonna be crazy over there. And then you got to talk about the Eagles. I know Tony again. You don't want to talk about the Eagles, but you got to talk about AJ Brown over there with Dante Smith, and I don't know where AJ is going to end up when it's all said and done, but right now, as of right now, that Eagles receiving core is still something to contend with. And then you got to talk about the Cowboys. You got to talk about they still got CeeDee Lamb over there. They still got some guys over there. I know they just released Michael Gallup, but you know they have some money over there to spend. And we know Jerry Jones, if he's not dealing in a draft, he's not really a big offseason guy, but he might get to the point where he might start thinking maybe we have to bring in some weapons over here. You
Well,
know what I
I
mean?
think that's where I haven't mentioned this to Tony yet because I don't want to. Anybody just tuning in, Tony was a Bears/Cowboys fan, and after this past season is straight da Bears. But he's an observer now. His second team is an observer. He's just having fun watching football. He's not.
Yeah, but hey, look,
It
how many
happens
times have we said we've done with the Bears? But at the end of the day, our eyes are still on the
for
Bears.
sure, for sure. But
So I
here's
get Tony said he's not rocking with the Cowboys, but at the end of the day, he got that blue and gray, that blue and silver in his heart.
No. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that ex that is toxic, and then you finally break up with that ex, and you're like, nah, I gotta be away
And
from you for a little bit.
I think it was for Tony, and I can't speak for Tony, but like just like you with the Warriors, like the Bulls were your first love, and then you
Yeah,
fell in love with Kobe and you fell in love with Curry, so they were your like second option while the Bulls
yeah,
were in purgatory and still are in purgatory. But I think that was it for Tony, where it was like, yeah, I'm a Bears fan, but I like the Cowboys, and just like me, like. I'm sitting here today and I'm like, man, I really like certain players. I'm really into these guys. I got to pause.
yeah.
I think they're really dope. But Tony, that was the final topic. The show is about to end, but I want to ask you something. As a former Cowboys fan, you know that OBJ announced today he will not be returning as a Baltimore Raven. And is there a potential chance, because we knew this was a conversation a couple years ago, that he
Yeah.
goes to the Dallas Cowboys?
No.
Why not?
Here's why, Rob. So I know they released Michael Gallup, and I haven't seen the updated numbers for their salary cap.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tony, they didn't spend anything. What's up?
I know you want to know what their
Hey,
salary cap number
Skip
was
this too.
before that?
What happened, Tony?
Their salary cap was $2.2 million.
Oh,
That's it. They ain't got nothing to spend. That's the problem. You want to know how much Dak is costing against their cap?
Oh,
$60 million.
oh.
$59.4 million against the cap hit.
I like that though, because in the short term they're going to be able to cut him down the line, and I think it's a sacrifice
Next year.
that they just have to make. Yeah, I
They can
definitely
cut him
do.
after next year.
Shout out
But
Trey
no,
Lance.
yeah, but here's the thing though. I don't see OBJ doing it for two reasons.
The money, sure.
The money is going to be the biggest thing, because while yes, he's from Texas, they flirted with him before. I think the wide receivers coach at one point was the same guy that coached him when he was at LSU. Go Tigers! He, like, financially, Jerry just can't afford it, as well as OBJ is not going to be that main piece in the Cowboys offense, because you've still got CeeDee Lamb. I believe they still have Brandon Cooks under contract as well.
I think so.
You'd have OBJ potentially, as well as the emergence of Jake Ferguson, who looked really good last year.
And don't you have the 5?
Hey, I like that kid Ferguson, a dog.
Ferguson is a dog, but I think
he is a dog. Hey, Ferguson, shout out to you, because I put you on a lot of my tickets. You got me some money, my boy. Oh God.
But no, isn't your running back like 5'8"?
I don't even know who the running back is at the Kermo, because they got rid of Tony Pollard. I think they only have Rico Dowdle.
I think that was him. He was on the team last year. I think they got him right now. I'm curious to see if they rock out with him, because let's see, Cowboys running back room. Let's check it out. This is gonna be bad. I'm already knowing the depth chart for 2023.
So they had Rico Dowdle, and they had some dude. Okay.
Oh no, it was Deuce, wasn't it?
Deuce Vaughn. Oh yeah, they do have Deuce Vaughn still. I forgot he got
Deuce
injured
Vaughn
at like the end of the year, and then they demoted him down to practice squad.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was Deuce Vaughn. He's 5'5". What the fuck?
Supposed to be another Darren Sproles, but Dallas ain't gonna use him like that.
Crazy. I don't want to hear an excuse from anybody ever again. Like, my excuse is that I suck, but like other people's is like height. But my body sucks. Everything breaks.
Hey, buddy, I'm 6'3" and I suck. Like you could be tall you want. Like you put me on a basketball court, I'm like a newborn baby deer trying to move on ice. Like
but I'm Mr. Hit that hoe. And excuse my language, but if you put me on the court, I'm a knockdown artist.
Man, get out of my way. Man.
I gotta be like Zach 80. I just gotta reach up and grab stuff.
Hey Mike, you seen people verify what I do on Facebook and everything. Like I really do that.
Yeah, bro. I hear you. But yeah, bro. No, I remember bro told me we were talking the other day, because we were talking about we won a championship over the winner, Lakeshore Drive Kings. But we were talking about it, and I was just like, they were like, man, Mike, you're the D Rose of Chicago for real. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, all the MVPs and the too big, too fast, too strong. I was like, yeah. They're like, nah, you don't got none of that, but you hurt all the time. And I was like, damn, that shit. Wow. It just hurt my heart. But listen, man, we had a great show today. I appreciate Rob Scott of Rob's 2 Cents, Tony Hollinsworth of Inside the Hoosier Mind. This is Mike Hughes, a.k.a. The Shy Kid, and you are listening to Mike on the Mic and Everything Chicago Sports Related Podcast. Until next time, welcome to the Caleb Williams era. Justin Fields, we love, we miss you. Thank you for everything. But get the fuck out of here. You gotta go. You gotta go home, but you gotta get out of here.